Item number 8.
Item number 8, proclamation recognizing National Adoption Month. Cami Bremer, Commissioner, Board of County Commissioners.
All right, if there's anybody that would like to speak on this, start making your way down, and we'll get started. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to move approval for the following proclamation recognizing National Adoption Month. Whereas National Adoption Month was established by President Gerald Ford in 1990 as a collective national effort to raise awareness of the more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to find permanent, loving families. And whereas El Paso County completed 551 adoptions for children in foster care or kinship care over the last 5 years. And of those, 275 were kin or kin-like adoptions. And whereas in the past 5 years, El Paso County completed 90 adoptions for youth age 10 and older. And whereas there is currently an active search for adoptive families for 19 El Paso County children. And whereas the El Paso County Department of Human Services has a primary mission to strengthen families, assure the safety of children, and improve overall quality of life in our community. And whereas the El Paso County Department of Human Services, with its many private, community-based, and nonprofit partners, plays a vital role in maintaining and increasing citizen involvement in adoption so that waiting children can find stable and permanent loving homes. Whereas it is with great thanks that we recognize all El Paso County adoptive parents and the many dedicated adoption professionals who work to connect foster children with loving families. Now, therefore, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, hereby recognizes November as Adoption Month in El Paso County and proclaims its sincere gratitude to our community's adoptive families who have opened their hearts and homes to provide love and stability for the youngest members of our society, helping them grow into successful adults and building the future of El Paso County. Done this 19th day of November 2019 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. Signed, the Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Mark Waller, Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez, Vice Chair, Stan Vanderwerf, Holly Williams, Cami Bremer, members, and attested by Chuck Broerman, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. Julie.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for recognizing National Adoption Month. I would like to thank the families that are here today for this celebration. They have opened their homes and families to El Paso County's children, and because of them, the children in El Paso County will always have a home. They'll have a place to go for the holidays, for Thanksgiving. They'll have, even when they're adults, someone there to be there for their major events like high school graduation and college graduation, holidays, the birth of their children. So as we all know, having a parent doesn't end at age 18. The need to have a parent doesn't end at age 18. It goes on for the rest of your life. And so it's really important that our children are adopted, that they're not raised in institutions. And so we're very grateful to the families that we have here today. I also would like to recognize the Children, Youth, and Family Services staff from DHS that are here today. If they could all stand. We have a big group. Because of these dedicated directors, managers, supervisors, and other members of our team, adoptions like the ones in El Paso County are possible, and they do an amazing job. So I'm incredibly grateful to our team. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Jill Bradley and Yvonne Saletta. Jill is our Children, Youth, and Family Services Manager, and Yvonne is our Children, Youth, and Family Supervisor, and they'll tell you a little bit more about what we do to support adoptive families. Thank you. Thank you, Jill.
All right, and if you could, please sign in, and then before you speak, and this applies to everybody, sign in before you speak, state your name, and then you may begin. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jill Bradley,
And I just want to thank you again and echo what Julie had said for this opportunity. We have some amazing families here this morning that are going to share their stories. We're not going to speak much because I know the stories of the families are the ones that we want to get out there. So I'm going to defer to Yvonne Saletta, our adoption supervisor, who has some data for you to talk about the rest of this year in our adoptions.
Good morning and thank you. Thank you for honoring all of our adoptive families, not just the ones here today, but all of our kin-like, and foster families who have adopted throughout the years and continue to be permanent parents for these children. We're most likely going to have up to 150 adoptions completed by the end of the year. That's our highest number ever. So I'm very pleased to honor our adoption team in doing their best to get those completed as quickly as possible. We do have 3 families here that we would like to give the microphone to. Let's have the Biddisons come up first.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate so much.
If you could, sir, please just state your name.
Oh, Mark.
So we can get it for the record.
My name is Mark Biddison.
Thank you.
And I have my wife, Joan, and some of our children with us this morning. We've got 3 more boys at home and 2 more that are grown and married. I wanted to say how much I appreciate your recognition of the efforts of adopted families and the DHS workers and the workers who man the various adoption and child services agencies here in Colorado Springs. Our adoption journey began way back in the 80s. When my wife and I got married, we both brought a heart for kids in need of families to the marriage, and we've adopted, between 2001 and just this year, we've had the opportunity and the privilege of adopting 7 children. And our experience is not necessarily unique, except in the area of something that I would like to encourage people, if I was going to encourage anyone, is that, the model of society where we have our children in our 20s and 30s, and 18 to 20 years later, we look to being empty nesters and sending the kids off and launching and everything. I would like to submit that in some cases, that model is overrated. My wife and I have been doing this for a long time, and I'll be 60 years old this summer. And our newest adopted child, Micah, is just 4 years old. And so that means I'll be planning his high school graduation party in my early 70s. And I'd just like to submit that there isn't anything wrong with that. What's important is that kids are available that need homes, that need loving homes. And my wife and I are privileged to be able to be in a position to fill that need, and we would like to encourage others to consider that maybe that might be a need that they could fill as well. And we are so thankful for all the support that we've gotten through various agencies in Colorado Springs. We feel very supported. We feel very loved, and we are thankful just to be a part of everything that's going on here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Could we have the McCloskeys come up?
My name's Amanda McCloskey, and we celebrated our daughter's third birthday on Saturday. On December 7th of this year, it will be our 3rd year of our gotcha date. Laura came to us December 7th of 2016. You know, I went to high school with her mom, and she wasn't doing very well mentally. And I went down to the hospital and saw her, and the mom, the biological mom, and I gave my number to the intake nurse and said, if Laura is to go into foster care, here's my phone number. We would love to take her for as short or as long as need be. I wanted her biological mom to be able to have the time to recover, and without the worry of what was going on with her daughter. I called my husband and he didn't answer. There was a baby when he got home that night because I knew his social security number so they could run the background check.
She used to bring home puppies. And
I graduated. I know that we hear a lot how lucky Laura is to have been adopted, to be loved, and I truly know that we are the lucky ones to have her. And, you know, we had an immense amount of support from the county. Her biological mom approached us when Laura was about 4 months old, excuse me, and asked if we would be willing to adopt her. And we said yes. And it's as open as it can be. You know, we match the birth family's enthusiasm, you know. And you know, she has half siblings. We have 2 biological daughters that are 7 and 9. And we have a house full of girls. And it's wonderful. You know, Laura has some pretty significant health issues. And while we were navigating that, because none of it was known at her birth, I felt an immense amount of support from the county, from the guardian ad litem, that came together and gave me the support that I needed to go into the medical community as a foster mom and get the care that Laura needed. And she is thriving in ways that we were told that it wasn't going to happen. And I know that it's because it takes a village. You can talk now.
my name's Joe McCloskey. They call me Big Dog. We adopted Laura when Amanda brought her home. I was pretty surprised, but I kind of felt like I was going to be her dad. I kind of already knew that. I just had this feeling that I was going to be her dad. And so for me, it was interesting just to sit back and watch it play out, because I kind of knew what was going to happen in the end. And for me, every time I come home, Laura runs up to me and she goes, hold you, hold you, hold you. Like, she always wants me to hold her. Every morning she sits on my lap and she eats my food. She's so funny. I mean, she's I don't want to be comparing my kids, but she's probably the funniest kid that we have. I mean, she's always cracking jokes, and she has this great sense of humor. And my favorite thing about Laura is that I can look at her and feel like I'm a good guy. You know, that's my favorite thing. And it's been a blessing. The county's been awesome. They really helped us out. The guardian ad litem, what was her name, Karen? Was it Karen? Karen was awesome. And I don't know, we're grateful to you guys, and that's it. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing your story. Could we have that, Nusus?
Good morning. My name is Kimberly Noose. Our story began in 2012, but it started in our hearts years before that.
I'm Dale Noose. In about 2007, when I took my first mission trip to Africa, and I've been on about 14 or 15 since then, and it caused me to come back and look in our own community and see what needed to be done. And then I started looking up national statistics. National statistics will tell you that 70–80% of the people in jail have been in foster care. So something wasn't right. So we decided that's what we wanted to do. And I retired from the sheriff's office as a sergeant after 25 years. So we started our own ministry called Salem Mountain Ranch, and we're trying to run trauma classes. We have a psychologist on board. We have art camps. We have different things. But that's what we're trying to do, and we're trying to make foster care easier for foster parents and get the kids through their trauma.
In 2012, we welcomed 7 African children into our home through the Unaccompanied Refugee Minor Program. And then after that, 2 children from Burma. And then after that, we did all domestic. We have this year completed 7 adoptions, which of one is the child from Burma. You can't adopt refugees, so after she was out of the program, she asked us to adopt her, and she was our child when she walked in the door at 16, so it didn't matter. But yes, so she's officially a Noose now, which is very exciting. Kayla was our number 2. She came to us 4 years ago, and I'm going to turn it over to her because it's her story of why we do what we do.
Hello, my name is Kayla Noose, and before we get started, I want to tell you how old I am. I'm 15 years old, and I've been in and out of the system my whole life. I've been in over 10 foster homes, and when I was getting older, I started to believe that because I was getting older, nobody wanted me. And I started to believe the lies that my biological family told me, that I was worthless and that I was nothing. Today I was asked by my parents to share what adoption means to me. And to me, adoption is no more than just a word. Adoption for me started when I walked in the door 4 years ago on Thanksgiving break. The first person I met was my mom. She was ecstatic when I walked through the door, and the energy just, it was bright. And next I met my little brother who walked down the stairs with a rat. Then my dad came home from feeding the homeless, and everything just kind of to come together. I met my whole entire family that Thanksgiving, and when I left after doing respite with them, I just found myself wanting to go back every weekend. And because I was a foster child, we can't really spend the night anywhere because, but then I was told that the Nooses had the opportunity to take my younger sister, JoJo, take her into their home. And me being the mother I was at the time, I decided and made the decision on my own that I was going to move with her. JoJo ended up not moving with the Nooses and went to a much better home that could give her better opportunities. And I decided that I was still going to move. So of January 2016, I packed up all my stuff, and my dad brought the truck over, and we moved. I just celebrated my second Gotcha Day. I was adopted November 13th, 2017. And without the Nooses, without adoption, I would have never gotten the opportunities I have now. I would have never found out that I can play volleyball. I would have never found my hidden talent that I'm really, really good at acting. And when the judge hit the gavel on November 13th, 2017, and my parents said that they were not gonna just be legally parents till I'm 18, and they weren't just they were gonna take care of me forever and forever, how long I needed it. That was when the feeling really sunk in, that this is forever. And in our home, we don't call it a foster home, we call it a forever home, because you're there until you go back to your bio parents, or you're there forever. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for the amazing opportunity to come here and share my story with you guys. And just thank you to my mom and dad for opening their hearts and just following what they're called to do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for all the families who shared their stories. That's all we have as a formal presentation, so I'm not sure if there are other families in the audience who want to speak.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this proclamation, though I don't think anybody can follow that last story up. That's for sure. All right, well, seeing none, we'll bring it up here for some deliberation and a vote. Who wants to kick us off? Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank all the parents and all the families and the staff for all the great work that they do. We just always remember I just got to spend time with my godson this weekend and my cousins. I hadn't seen my godson in like 2 years. And so family is important. And these are the memories that you get to share. And we just heard it here. Those bonds are forever. And so I just want to thank you for all the great that you give. This is definitely one of those things that, God wants. They want strong families. And so thank you.
Commissioner Williams.
I just wanted to thank you all for adopting these kids and for giving them a permanent home. My husband is adopted, and he had the opportunity to meet his birth mom, I think a year and a half ago now. And it's been a wonderful relationship. And she was surprised to find out she had 4 grandkids and 1 great-grandkid. But everybody loves her. He also met his birth dad and spent a week fishing with him. So he's very happy to have grown his family. And it's just so important that you do what you do to give these kids a stable family and parents that they know are always going to be there.
Wow, didn't your husband turn out a lawyer politician? I mean, maybe that's an indictment against adoption. I don't know. No, I'm kidding.
Yes, he did.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the 3rd time I've had the pleasure and the honor to see families come before us. It's the 3rd year for it, and every time it's just amazing. There's 125,000 children across the country looking to be adopted. That's a huge number. And I am so glad that we do our part here in El Paso County. And I'm looking forward to hearing that you've reached that 150 number that was mentioned here earlier. That's just fantastic that we're doing so much here to help our local families. And families are so important. Every child needs a family, whether that's a different relative other than the parents or another family that's not part of their family. And that family that adopts them, it's precious because they've decided to love that child. And that's the most important gift you can give to a child. So to the families here who have adopted, thank you so much. And your willingness to love kids is the greatest gift that you can give to them. And that is just so, so special. And to Kayla, thank you for sharing your story. Your life is the greatest gift that's been given to you. Use it to do good around the world. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I agree. Our children are our most precious resource, that's for sure. And every child deserves to have the opportunity to grow up in a loving environment, a constructive teaching environment. And I often think about these things, and I think, what would it take? I try to put myself in the position of an adoptive parent. I'm not sure I have the willingness or the fortitude to be able to do that and do it well. And so when I see folks that are willing to take on that commitment, because it's not a commitment for a few years, as all of our families have said, it's an absolute lifetime commitment. And I think to myself, I don't know that I would be giving and caring enough to be able to make that lifetime commitment. And I think the people that are willing to do it are just most amazing people in the world. You know, I have two of my own children, and I often say I could have the most important job in our community, and that wouldn't be more important than raising my kids. So to those of you that are willing to take on this challenge of taking on the most important job you'll ever have in your life and then doing it extra with adoptive kids, thank you all so much for doing that. As a county, it's our responsibility to try to give you some of the resources necessary in order to be successful, and then get out of your way and allow you to be successful on your own. And it seems, at least in the 3 examples that we've seen today, that model's working perfectly. So thank you all for coming and telling your stories. Kayla, you did an outstanding job today. I'm so proud of you being able to stand up and talk in front of all these people. You've got I can tell just by looking at you, you've got a lot of success ahead of you in your life. So thank you very much for being here. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't really know where to start, other than that it was a very bad day to wear my glasses because they're all fogged up. Each of those stories, it kind of highlights a different piece of adoption, a different side of it. And in the 1980s, when the Bittisons adopted, there was still a lot of stigma around adoption, around foster care, and for a family to realize that was their call and they were going to jump in head first anyway, despite what others might say about that during that time. That's just that's so impressive, and I recognize that, and I also recognize that it kind of highlights, look how far we've come. We're sitting here today with a resolution, and we're all talking about adoption, and Kayla's getting up and declaring proudly that she's adopted. That's just, it says how far our society has come in that, and I'm so honored to be a part of El Paso County that has helped that happen. And then, the McCloskeys, just, where are you? Sorry. Can't see. There we go. You just answered the call at the drop of a hat, and some people plan and know that they're going to adopt, and others just answer the call when a child needs them, and that's just amazing. All of these stories on their own, and then Kayla. You are so very brave, and clearly your family is very proud of you, honored to have you as a part of their family with many, many siblings, and I'm sure that I'd love to see Thanksgiving dinner at your table. I'd love to walk in your house on Thanksgiving morning like you did a few years ago. So it's just amazing, and I'm proud of our El Paso County staff who sees stories and children every day, and the names and the faces and all the people involved, and you have a hard job, and it's such an honor to be able to highlight the very positive stories, the ones where we are able to have wonderful placements and wonderful families. My colleagues, I made them sign an extra proclamation. They all signed it twice because I knew this week that I was going to hang this in my office, and I'm going to hang it in my office so that you are why I do what I do. The decisions that we make up here are impacting families from the policy level every day, and I want to be reminded of that as I'm sitting at my desk and dealing with other things that we don't always see an immediate impact from. And also, I look forward to looking at this number of a current search for 19 adoptive families ongoing this year, and I hope that next year's resolution is fewer than that and fewer than that and fewer than that. But I'm so proud of our staff. I'm so proud of the families that have answered the call in whatever way that came, and I'm honored to have read this resolution today. Thank you for sharing your stories, families.
All right, so we've been moved and seconded, so I will call the roll now. Commissioner Brimmer.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
The chair votes aye. We will stand in recess for a picture.